Welcome to the Jedi Ranger, I'm JohnBerry555, and today I'm continuing my reviews of the 5th season in Phineas and Ferb with episode 10. 10A is No Slumber Party, and 10B is the Ballad of Bubba Doof. So let's begin with 10A, No Slumber Party. It's not a no slumber party, it's no slumber party, meaning it's a slumber party where they're not going to sleep. I don't know why I felt the need to explain that, but why not? And apparently this is the first sleepover that they're doing. But the thing is, I'm pretty sure they have done camping trips, and isn't that a sleepover, just not in one of their houses? I'm just saying. I am just saying. Also, too, Perry sent to do a stakeout at Doof because there's an innator he hasn't used yet. And his innator is a gigantic megaphone because he's going to spoil a show's ending to the tri-state area because he's annoyed that one of his neighbors is spoiling TV shows and people are saying that makes him more evil than Doof. So Doof is being petty. That's such Doof. Most of his schemes are kind of just, petty things when you really think about it. And the stakeout though fails for Perry because Monogram keeps on yapping. And anyhow, Perry makes some tea, puts Doof to sleep, and problem solved. It's the very same type of tea that Linda has before everyone goes to the slumber party, because she does not want to be disturbed. Eventually she does wake up and is like, Candace, what's going on? But before I get to that, there's actually two slumber parties. The boys are having a slumber party with Buford, Baljeet, and Isabella, which, Baljeet is trying to stay up past his bedtime of 9:30. He does briefly. Well, he falls to bed exactly at 9:30. Then about 6 minutes later in universe, he gets zapped by Doof's innator that Doof made to keep himself up, and that wakes him up for like 2 seconds, and then Baljeet goes back to bed. And Buford decides he's going to prank Baljeet because that's what he thinks sleepovers are all about in summer parties, pranks. So his first idea is to go grab some of Candace's makeup, but instead he joins in on the Goals is Truth and Dale, I should say, because Candace is also having a summer party with Stacy and Vanessa, who at least knows that Perry, the pet, is named Perry. Does she know that it's also Perry the Platypus who fights her father? I don't know, but I know Stacy knows that. So I wonder, put some things together, and Stacy is probably the most informed character in Phineas and Ferb right now of everything that's going on. But anyhow, so basically, Vanessa gives Buford some Dales, and he's like, "Yep, that's how I make my hair for dunking his head in the toilet." Yeah, I also had some Perry's food, so like, okay, makeover. And Buford's response was, "Just so you know, I'm in autumn." It's like kind of funny because that's not the kind of character who you would picture would know things about that. I only know like autumn, spring for like colors and that for fashion because of a a Star Series video. That's the only reason why I know that stuff. And I would have never watched that if it wasn't for the fact the channel was started by MatPat. So yeah. So sometimes you find out stuff in an unusual way, and Buford is not a character you would usually associate with that kind of stuff. But given lots of people's headcanons and all that for Buford, it does actually kind of make some sense. But going on is like, Vanessa does Buford's makeup and makes him look like Queen Elizabeth. And then, while trying to and now, gotta get back to what I was talking about earlier with Linda. While trying to get Linda up, Candace has noticed that her father, whose name I just forgot, Lawrence, I don't know why I blinked for a second, starts sleepwalking, walks in by Buford and basically mistakes him for Queen Elizabeth. And then goes on to have a full English tea. Which I think is just so hilarious. And entirely sleepwalking. And that's what Linda notices. Not the fact that Phineas and Ferb made basically a fancy movie theater. No. But speaking of movies, let's move on to the next episode, The Ballad of Bubba Doof. Mainly because the Phineas and Ferb's big plan is to make a false perspective western town to help give Baljeet the chance to learn to appreciate the Western genre. And it is a total false perspective Western town. It's like, more than once, Candace says, that doesn't make any sense because, yeah, what they're doing works as false perspective if they weren't interacting with it. Like, for them, most of the time it can't be false perspective. It can be for us, the audience, but not for the characters, yet it is for the characters. But because of that, Linda actually does see it at the end of the day, just thinks it's a small diagram instead. But I got to love that Candace dresses up as a sheriff for this, except for the scene where things go crazy and she actually ends up in a dress in front of the train tracks, and then the small train hits her, just like in Night in the Museum, actually. But yeah, I just loved how Candace, she dresses up accordingly. She didn't have to, but she does. Probably because she kind of likes doing it. But anyhow, and for some reason the cell service is now working in this false perspective Western town in their backyard. Remember, this is in the backyard. So she sends a telegraph to her mom, because apparently she went for 3 summers, went to Morse Code Camp. 3 summers. So those must have been 3 summers where she didn't try to bust Phineas and Ferb. And apparently during those summers, Linda worked at a submarine. Okay. Of course, that could have been also before Phineas was born, too. That is always a possibility. But I just love the idea that Candace and her mom both know Morse code. And the message gets sent in Morse code, didn't get translated. But let's actually talk about the other plot with Perry. Well, Doofenshmirtz is at an Armambritter convention, so no evil scheme, because apparently when he does things with Armambritter, he just decides not to do evil. This has apparently happened before. But what ends up happening is that Monogram and Carl are out in the swamp because Monogram's teaching Carl to operate a fan boat, and they get stranded and Perry has to go rescue them. But Perry actually gets captured by Doof's swamp-dwelling cousin, Bubba Doof. The thing is that Bubba Doof way more competent than his cousin. For one, Perry needed help to get out of the trap. Thankfully, Doof and Carl was there, so yes. And he also has his own plan to take over the Tri-Swamp area. Because there's apparently a 2 swamps and an adjacent swamp, and he wants to take it over, but the beavers are in his way, so he builds an innator to trick the beavers into eating their own dams. And it works. And then the swamp does, though, flood, but it doesn't stick. But still, Doof's cousin is way more competent than him at his plans, and especially at trapping Perry. Overall, both of these episodes are really fun. This is actually the second time they've built a Pioneer-themed town, a Western-themed town, but last time they did it, that timeline got erased, so this is the first time they know that they've done it. But like I said, really good fun episode, had some great fun illusions. I really just love how the nonsensicalness of the forced perspective town actually works for the characters in universe, which is just not something that technically is supposed to happen with forced perspective. The people who are creating the forced perspective illusion are supposed to be aware that it's an illusion and not be experiencing it, because they're setting it up so they're seeing it from a different angle than what the camera is seeing on it, which is a two-dimensional representation of a 3D thing, which is what makes forced perspective actually work, I think. If you can correct me on that, let me know in the comment section down below, but in the meantime, I would love to hear your thoughts on the episode down there as well. Thank you for watching my video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and share. Also, consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest content. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the force be with you, always.